It is RE time with Mr. Thomas.
All right, year 10, welcome to this online lesson about religions and money. You can see your title there at the top. What do religions teach about wealth? Jot that down, please, and then today's date, whatever date you're doing this. And here's your starter. Okay, have a look at this image. You can see the big golden pound sign and hopefully some silhouettes, some images of people sat in front of it doing a particular thing. Whoever created this image is trying to make a point with it. What point do you think they are making? And second part of that question, do you agree with their point? Okay, jot down a short answer for each of those two questions, please. Pause the video and do that. Okay, hopefully on the starter slide you said something about people praying to money or worshipping money, and we're going to explore some of those links in this lesson between religions or being religious and owning money. And here are our objectives. Have a look at these, please, and decide how where you're going to aim your work today. So everyone must say whether they agree with religious teachings on money. We're going to look at a few of them. Most students should be able to give an opinion about Christian teachings in particular. Jesus taught a lot about money according to the Bible. There are lots and lots of teachings about what people should do with their wealth. So we'll have a look at some of those. And some of you could think really carefully and respond to questions about religions having lots of money. Religions, as big organizations, some of them do have lots of wealth to play with. So we're going to have a look at some of those issues as well. Okay, over the next 3 slides, there are going to be some keywords and a meaning for those keywords that you definitely need to get down in your books, please. And then we'll do some work with those afterwards. Right, so the first one is tithing. That's how it's pronounced, tithing. And that means giving 10% of your earnings, which is called a tithe, to God. Many Christians give this to their church, normally to the church, sometimes to charity, possibly to a combination of the two. And the reason it goes to a Christian's church is because they actually see it as a way of worshipping. Many Christians believe that God has given them the money, God has enabled them to have a job and earn money in that way, and therefore they are worshipping Him by giving back via the church, as it were. Okay, so jot that down, please. All right, this second keyword here, Artha, is a Hindu concept. It's not to do with giving money, but it's actually to do with gaining money. And it is one of the 4 Hindu aims of life. We're not going to learn about all 4 today, but this one, Artha, is to do with gaining more wealth, more money through lawful, honest means. So that means that a Hindu who is trying to aim for this aim of life would not try and get their money through gambling or through robbing a bank, but they would be perfectly fine to be building up their wealth, even becoming very wealthy through honest business practices, through working hard, those kinds of things. Okay, that is what Artha is. Jot it down, please. All right, third keyword here, zakah, which can be spelled in 2 ways, with an H or with a T. It's not an English word originally, it comes from Arabic, so you can spell it in several ways. Some people will say zakat. And zakah is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. You're going to learn plenty about the pillars of Islam, but just focus on this one today. And it means donating 2.5% of your income to the poor and needy. It's also seen by many Muslims as an act of worship, and it's often done during Ramadan, during the month where Muslims are fasting, but it doesn't have to be. And zakah is another different religious way of dealing with money and making sure that you are being generous with the money that you have earned. Okay, so we just learned 3 keywords that sort of suggest that religions are telling their believers, their members, things to do with their money, okay, either something to do with it or how to make it, and giving guidelines. Now, some people might say that that's not Okay, some people might say this statement at the bottom, money is a private matter and religions shouldn't tell believers what to do with it. Do you agree with that? Do you think that's right or wrong? Write an answer in your book. Short answer, doesn't need to be too long, maybe 2 or 3 lines, and say what you think and explain why you think it. Okay? All right, we're going to go into a little bit more detail on tithing and Arthur over the next couple of slides. As we read this, and I'll read it out, please could you note down 2 key points per belief and at least one of the teachings from the Bible that you can see in front of you there that are in blue. Okay, so tithing. In the Old Testament, God's people were supposed to remember that it was God who had blessed them with money. The Old Testament is the really old part of the Bible that Jewish people still use as well, and it's several thousand years old now. And here's the quote, "But remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth." That comes from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 18. So people thanked God by giving a tithe, a tenth of their earnings, as offerings. Now, when they were talking about earnings in those days, they were talking about things that they grew, maybe the sheep and cattle that they owned. Okay, they were a farming community, so it wasn't just giving paper money or just giving gold. It would be the things that they actually owned and produced. And that's why it says here in the second quote, "A tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord. It is holy to the Lord." That's from Leviticus 27, verse 30. And many Christians today worship by giving a tenth of their income to their church or possibly to charity. Lots of Christians set it up as an automatic payment, so it comes sort of straight out of their bank account. As soon as they get paid, the tithe goes straight to their church's bank account. Okay, a bit more detail on Arthur. Remember, you're jotting down 2 key points about it here. So Arthur is one of the Hindu aims of life, trying to gain more wealth through honest means. It applies to both individuals, so that's you and me, and governments. For individuals, Arthur includes goals to do with career, wealth, financial security, and providing for one's family. So it's fine to work towards gaining a good job and working hard to produce money so that your family are well taken care of. It is acceptable to pray for money. At Diwali, many Hindu businessmen make offerings to Lakshmi, asking her to make them more prosperous. Okay, so Diwali is a time when it's like the Hindu New Year, and so it's time to sort of wrap up your accounts for the year and start your new accounts for the next year, and this often involves making an offering to Lakshmi, who is believed to be a goddess of wealth. For governments, Arthur includes good economic policies and creating enough wealth to provide for a country's citizens. Okay, so it's not just about you and your own stuff or your family, but if you're part of leading in a government, then you should be looking out for all the people you're supposed to be serving as well. Okay. Okay, now we're going to learn a bit about what the holy books actually say about money for these 2 religions, for Christianity and Hinduism. So this short parable, which are stories with a particular message, was told by Jesus in the book of Luke. Now, I'm going to read it from here, but if you want to get a sort of more visual sense of it, you can click on the link in Show My Homework. That will take you to the video that will tell you the story. It's not very long. Or you can just read it here. Okay. So, speaking to the people, Jesus said, "Take care, protect yourself against the least bit of greed. Life is not defined by what you have, even when you have a lot." Then he told them this story. The farm of a certain rich man produced a terrific crop. He talked to himself, "What can I do? My barn isn't big enough for this harvest." Then he said, "Here's what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones. Then I'll gather in all my grain and goods, and I'll say to myself, 'Self, you've done well. You've got it made and can now retire. Take it easy and have the time of your life.' Just then, God showed up and said, 'Fool, tonight you die, and your barn full of goods, who gets it?' That's what happens when you fill your barn with self and not with God." Okay, you've got 2 sentence starters there. So can you jot those 2 down and finish them off in your book? What do you think the parable means? And what might a Christian do about their money if they were to read this today in the Bible? And you've got a challenge task there. Extend your answer with an example or some other evidence that you've learnt about. Okay, a bit of a shorter quote from Hinduism, but there's some words in here that might cause you a little bit of trickiness. You might want to look them up in a dictionary to check you understand the meanings. Okay, so it says, if someone keeps all that he accumulates for himself and does not give it to others, the hoarded wealth will eventually prove to be the cause of ruin. That's from Atharva Veda 325. Okay, so again, like with the Christian one, what do you think that means? Put it in your own words. And then, if they were reading this today in their holy books, what might a Hindu do with their money so that they don't ruin their lives? Okay, and again, same challenge. Extend your answer with an example or some evidence of something else you've learnt in the past. Okay. All right, final task here, and I'd like you to answer this with a full detailed paragraph, please, at least one. You might need 2 to explain everything you need to say. So make a choice and answer one of these 3 questions, green, orange or red. Make your choice, please, based on your target grade. Hopefully you know your target grade by now. Anyway, green question. If you suddenly won £1,000, how would you spend it and why? Maybe think in detail. What would you give to this? What would you give to that? What would you save for yourself? What would you spend your money on? Okay, be detailed, please. Right, orange question. A friend of yours regularly gives away a portion of their allowance each month to their place of worship. So maybe they donate at the temple or they give a tithe at church. Do you think this is a good idea? Okay, explain why or why not. Okay, it's their pocket money. It's their money that they get each month for doing chores at home or whatever. Is that a good choice or is that not a good choice in your view? Okay, third question, red. The Church of England, so that's the established organisation of the church here in this country and around the world, owns quite a lot of property, church buildings and land, and some of those are not used very much. Maybe they're used once a week on a Sunday morning. Maybe not many people go to that church for services. Do you think they should be forced, so the law should force them to sell the land, sell the buildings, and the money given to the poor and needy? Okay, have a think about that. Explain why maybe they should. If you're going for this red one, you should probably aim for 2 paragraphs. Why they should and why maybe they shouldn't. Okay, submit that work, please, to your teacher when you are done. Thanks very much. Well done for your efforts.